Welcome, guys, to the MMOs.com podcast. Episode 120 here with Altai. I'm joined this week by
Homer.
There it is. And
There it is.
let's start the old-fashioned way. We're going to recap last week's weekly raid real quick, and then move on to this week's. So we had a pretty contentious weekly raid last week. MMOs in 2017, No Country for Toxic Men. Basically about the changing nature of what is acceptable and not acceptable in online culture, specifically gaming culture. And, Omar and I took opposing views here, and I just want to defend myself for a moment. I know we got heated, we got sidetracked, as per the usual. And I think a lot of people in the comments on YouTube and perhaps here on Twitch missed my main point of my defense. I was not defending or promoting toxicity, racism, or leaving games. I was only trying to say that these things should be, these negative aspects should be handled in game. So the punishments should be in game, rather than a ban, which is like metagame, which is outside the game, right? So that was my point. There are ways you can control these things, I think, within the game. An example I give is in MMORPGs, if you're a PK, if you kill players, you turn red and you can't enter town. And in some games, if you're red and you die, you drop your items, whereas other players don't. I know that specifically in MMORPGs, it doesn't translate to League, but things like that, things that punish players for bad behavior within the game environment, rather than just banning them. So that was my point. Some people missed that. I know.
Your point still sucks.
Okay. You don't have to agree with my point, but that was my point. My point wasn't
fair.
My point wasn't, we just give medals to leavers. Okay, that wasn't my point. All right. Any further thoughts on that, or can we move on?
I think we can move on.
Okay. All right.
Though, before we get to our fun weekly raid, I should open it with something slightly relevant. Anyone keeping track of the MMOs.com retirement fund should be pleased to know that PlayerUnknown's Trenchcoats prices have been skyrocketing over the last few weeks. And I am a happy camper. Just take a look at that.
All right, let's see here. $600. Wow, what did you buy these for again? As an update?
I bought I started buying them at around $50, and I bought my most recent one from Australia for about $300 flat, or $275.
Wow, so even your latest one, you doubled your money.
Yes, I have 6 trench coats and 1 bandana. The price of these bad boys, I think last time we brought up on the MMOs.com podcast, was about $305 or so, and the price has since about doubled. So the MMOs.com retirement fund is doing quite well with 6 trench coats and a bandana. And of course, I bring this up because we're talking a little bit of PUBG this week for the weekly raid, as well as a little bit of Fortnite, a bit of drama. I'll let you take that away with the weekly raid.
Sure. So this week's weekly raid is Fortnite guilty of plagiarizing PUBG? Quick rundown, guys. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds came out earlier this year, and it took basically the PC gaming market by storm. This game, I think, exceeded everyone's expectations, including Bluehole's itself. It is now the #1 game on Steam consistently. It beat Dota 2's peak. PUBG is still breaking new peak records like almost every day. It is over 1.5 million peak concurrent players now. Runaway success. Bluehole couldn't be happier. They're riding on cloud 9, baby. But then along comes Fortnite. Fortnite is this game that was in development for the past 6 years, and it finally came out in early access in July. And originally, it was a very interesting concept. It was like a team tower defense / hero defense style game. But then they made a little bit of a pivot there. Earlier this month, they released a battle royale mode. Omar, you've played it. What is some of the key points of this battle royale mode? How does it work, Omar? Can you explain how this?
If you've ever played PUBG, it works a lot like that. All right, because I mean, actually, Brandon, the guys at Bluehole were even saying that there have been battle royale games well before Fortnite battle royale, but they never took issue with those because they were just their own game. Whereas Fortnite battle royale, it really, really does feel like they started from scratch by just copying the PUBG experience. So you join a game, you're in a lobby, 100 players join, and then you go into an airplane, which is actually a giant bus held by like by a balloon, and it flies over the island. And then you jump off, and then at a certain point, you can kind of pull your chute, and then you can land where you want to, scavenge for weapons. a circle will appear, and then if that's even the way the circle appears and the blue circle that appears outside of it that gets slightly smaller and smaller feels identical to PUBG. The experience is very, very similar. There's actually only, I would say, one aspect of Fortnite PUBG that plays a little bit differently is the game's crafting mechanics, because you can actually gather resources by hitting buildings and breaking down buildings. So the fact that buildings are destructible, and by destroying them you get resources, you can build stuff. It's kind of neat because you can kind of fortify positions. You can like build like little pillboxes to defend yourself when the circle is really small with your friends and you're playing with more people. So there's some really cool elements you can do with the crafting. But it's beyond that. It is a very, very similar, like so similar to the mechanics of PUBG. You die very quickly. I mean, you even have, it's just so unbelievably similar. It's very clear to me. I played Fortnite PUBG that they took the base game of PUBG and kind of adapted it to Fortnite, and it's a clone. That's what it is. It's a clone.
Yeah, and actually, the people at Bluehole have said they welcome competition. A few guys in chat are already saying that this is not the first game with this style. There's plenty of Battle Royale games out there. Admittedly, most are probably made by Mr. PlayerUnknown himself. I don't know if everyone here knew this, but PlayerUnknown made the original Arma 3 mod for Battle Royale, and he also worked with Daybreak Games /SOE before that to make the H1Z1 King of the Kill mode. So he's responsible for 3 of the biggest Battle Royale games /mods. And so they welcome competition, but they took a particular slight with this one for a variety of reasons. And the main one, I think, they didn't say this. The main reason they give is because Fortnite, in their promotional material, specifically cited PUBG. So they say that's the big no-no. But I think that's just for legal purposes. What I think their real contention is Fortnite is made by Epic Games. Epic Games are the guys who make the Unreal Engine, okay? And PUBG runs on the Unreal Engine. And Bluehole and Epic Games have been working together to optimize the game, PUBG, to run better, to work on consoles. So now they feel betrayed. So imagine you're a car company and you get your engines from like this one company, and then working together to make engines with them, and like a week later they say they're making their own car using the same engine, right? So that's what they feel. I feel like they feel insulted or slighted that their vendor for their software, right, the Unreal Engine, has turned around and used all the work that they worked on together to basically make their own product. So I think that's where like the real issue is here.
That's where it sounds exceptionally scummy, because even if they never intended to like copy them outright, the fact that Epic Games, the guys that make the engine, are doing it makes it really, really like iffy. And it feels like it's almost like you got kind of screwed for using their engine as well. Even if you didn't, it just feels so dirty. Again, if some other company made this, it's really not that big of a deal. But the fact that the guys that make your engine, the guys that help optimize your game, the guys that you're paying royalties to every month to use their engine, came out with their own version of your game. And the similarities are so similar. I mean, I can understand the Bluehole's perspective here. And it's definitely, look, it's a clone. I'm saying, look, I say 100% a clone. Again, it's a very smart move. People are saying that it may be good for the genre. It's a very smart move for them. It's going to make a lot of money. A lot of people are going to play this. It's free to play.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal, guys.
It's a big success.
Yeah, I want to mention that again. Fortnite Battle Royale version is going to be free to play, and since they announced this version as part of Fortnite, is that they actually decided to spin it off as a separate free to play standalone game. So that's like a double slap on the face, wham wham. And here's a triple slap coming on. They're gonna beat PUBG to console, because they're Unreal. They obviously know the engine better than Bluehole does, right? So they're gonna beat PUBG to Xbox, to PlayStation, and make it free to play. It's gonna be a huge that whether or not it's a legal clone or not, that decision alone, I bet cost Bluehole like tens of millions of dollars.
Oh yeah. And actually, look at the numbers right now. If you look how big this game is already. If you look at twitch.tv/directory, where they list all the games by most viewed, League of Legends right now is the most viewed game on Twitch with 88,491. Number 2 is PlayerUnknown at 72,000. Number 3, good old Fortnite, 64,817. And I bet you all those guys playing Fortnite are not playing the PvE game mode, which, by the way, is a pretty unique, interesting experience. They're playing the Battle Royale game mode, because the game has been out for a while already in early access where anyone can play it and stream, but nobody's watching Fortnite. But they're all playing the Battle Royale game mode now because it's going to be. You can play right now a PUBG-like experience entirely for free. If you want to play PUBG, you don't have the game, go play Fortnite Battle Royale. It's free right now, and it's worth trying. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. So it's already a tremendous. It's not like Last Man Standing, the Sergei Titov version, where like only a couple people played it. This has the backing of this AAA game studio. I mean, Epic Games is huge. They make one of the most iconic engines, or one of the biggest engines in gaming. So a huge company behind this. I think Fortnite Battle Royale is gonna be a big one. It's gonna make a lot of money, millions and millions of dollars.
Definitely. And the point of this weekly raid, guys, is Armor and I want to play the part of the judges, co-judges, and we want to take your views on this. I know a few of you have already been talking in chat. If you guys don't mind, jump on Discord here, and I want to hear what the jury. You guys are the jury, all right? You will decide whether or not this is a clone, all right? You guys will have the full legal backing of MMOs.com to sue or not sue Epic Games here, okay? So, Omar, if anyone is ready to be dragged up,
I'll drop some links. I do want to say one more thing too. Like, if you guys think it's a clone, I personally think it is. Look, it's okay to play the game, but you got to call them out for what they are, because cloning and copying games has been the thing we've kind of dealt with for a long time, and I think we got to call it out a bit more. There's a lot of WoW clones out there, a lot of Dota clones, League clones, and it really we got to give credit to the OG guys. All right, so it's. Even if you want to keep playing the game and defend the game, it's fine. But I think you got to call a clone a clone. You got to call a spade IMO.
Well, look, we're just the judges here, okay? We're the arbiters.
We're the judges.
We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it to the jury, all right, to decide.
All right, let's take Etherville first. He was the first one in there, and here we go. Welcome to the MMOs.com podcast, Etherville. What are your thoughts? Is Fortnite Battle Royale a shameless clone, or is it a bastion of innovation?
You are muted, so be sure to unmute yourself. There it is.
I was just making sure that the audio was working.
You're good.
Let's see. Well, I'm kind of more on the side that it's a clone, but then again, how much of that is a bad thing in the sense? How much of a difference is of something plagiarizing another game compared to cloning something?
Well, sir, you are not here to philosophize. You are sworn to the court to render a verdict of guilty or not guilty. So, sir, where do you stand?
Are they dirty, filthy cloners that should be punished, or are they A-okay?
Well, based off of all the things and how they've made the game and how much it's based or seems to have so many similarities to PUBG outside of the crafting, I would make the verdict that it's a clone. But at the same time, well, they're trying to reap the rewards of the current new trend. I'd like to make a comparison to another title, like what Paladins did in comparison to Overwatch or similar.
That's a good point. And fun fact, guys, if you don't know, but Paladins, when it was in development, it was a totally different game. Like Omar and I played it during closed alpha, whatever they want to call it. It had its own game modes, like very, very unique game modes. And then once Overwatch kind of took off, Paladins totally shifted their focus and development to more Overwatch style game modes, and which is what Fortnite did. When Fortnite originally came out, it was nothing like a battle royale game. It was this totally cool, unique, team hero / tower defense game against zombies, and then they totally pivoted towards this battle royale thing. So it is an interesting and good comparison with Paladins.
And good point, because Paladins actually is an enormously successful game now. I mean, back when we played it, it was really not that popular at all, but now it has over 18,000 players right now, 24-hour peak of 30,000. So offering a free-to-play alternative to a popular game, Overwatch in this case, became a huge hit for Paladins, and I think we're seeing the same thing with Fortnite. I think all the developers for Fortnite, I wonder, what do you think the developers are feeling right now, the guys that made the OG version of Fortnite? They spent all this time making this like survival hero sandbox, not survival shooter, and then all of a sudden they tacked on this battle royale mode, and it's got over 70,000 people watching it on Steam now, and everyone's playing it. It's low effort compared to what they've already done, because it is a clone.
Oh, trust me, I'm sure they're very happy. Yeah. They're minting that money.
I would like to jump in and make one extra note, though. The one difference, as someone who plays Paladins a lot, the one difference between Fortnite and Paladins so far is that the old game mode of Paladins is gone now. You can't play it. But at least for Fortnite, you can play the PvE mode, and the Battle Royale is a separate mode.
That's true. As a
Good
Paladins
point,
player,
yeah.
how do you feel about that? Do you know?
Again, I'm kind of the split on this matter. I feel the reason why they shifted because of that was because the market trends were going more towards a classical hero shooter, and the fact that players didn't exactly more receptive to the original gameplay style because it's more niche. Although, based off of some leaked documents, they seem to be making a game mode that will be harkening back to the original. There seems to be some hints of that.
All right, all right. Well, once again, Mr. Juror number 1, I do need a final verdict from you. Yay or nay,
Based off of
guilty or
all,
not guilty?
based off of all the evidence, they are basically making a clone to cash in on the success of other things as quickly as possible.
It's a clone.
All right,
That's one vote for clone.
Yep, that's 1 vote for guilty. Thank you
All
for
right,
your.
appreciate your thoughts.
Yep.
I'm gonna drag someone else in now. Thanks for sharing your thoughts again.
You're welcome.
All right, next up, we got Barclay Callistra, a resident MMOs.com writer, might I add. Welcome
Hello.
to the MMOs.com podcast.
Thank you.
You are
Fortnite
sworn.
a shameless,
You are
shameless
sworn
clone
to tell the
where we
truth.
must kill every executive at Epic Games, or do we let them live?
Let them live and make it even better than PUBG. Because,
Oh.
yeah, I have a couple of really strong opinions about this right now, and that is PUBG, Fortnite. You can't take the base gameplay of let's take Candy Crush Saga and let's take every other game before it. It's
Bejeweled.
clearly a clone. Yeah, it's Bejeweled. It's clearly a clone of Bejeweled, but it's infinitely more popular than Bejeweled. And I have a feeling that Fortnite, if they play their cards correctly, could easily overtake PUBG.
I think you're right, but does that justify cloning their game? Like, is plagiarism allowed as long as you can do it and become more successful?
Well, hold up, Callister. I want to insert something here. Puzzle and Dragon and stuff. I would argue add a lot on top of Bejeweled, right? Whereas,
Yeah, that'll bring me to my next point. Yes.
so do you think the additional content in Fortnite Battle Royale, for example, the whole harvesting, stuff and building traps, does that count as original enough to not be a clone?
I definitely do, but
Okay.
I do think it's original enough. But I don't think that the base gameplay is enough for it to not be a clone, because you have H1Z1, you have PUBG, two very similar games. PUBG took off, but now you have Fortnite, which I have based on what I've seen, it runs smoother than PUBG. PUBG, you try to pick something up and
Yes.
haha, have fun. You're better off opening up the inventory and dragging it to your inventory.
Yes.
Good luck picking anything up off the ground. Good luck opening a door. You just might as well shoot it. Whereas Fortnite, I feel, is much more smoother and well optimized. But that could take it past PUBG, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They need to change. The biggest thing that comes to mind immediately is bandages. They cannot be going to 75%. They can't, because then at that point it's too much like regular PUBG.
Yeah, but think about that too. The way the bandages work in Fortnite as well. Even the bandages are like, the mechanics are cloned up to PUBG levels. Like they didn't even design around that. They made it so you can't heal past like 75% with bandages unless you get like a full heal med kit or something. Like, even that mechanic was copied. Like they didn't have to do that. They could just kept it,
And they can't do that. Otherwise, I have a feeling that it won't take PUBG. There need to be very clear and very specific differences between the two games. I have a feeling that Fortnite will definitely find its niche. It's free, it's very cartoony, and it's already taken off. And a lot of the famous PUBG streamers, Dr. Disrespect, he has his own Fortnite video. And he'll probably be streaming both to double dip the two communities and double dip on all the ad money and subscriptions. He's just the first person that came to mind, because he's the only PUBG streamer that I know of that actually played Fortnite.
Okay, so give us a verdict.
I think that no, it's not a clone, simply because it's not a clone, but it needs to try very, very hard to not pass off as a clone. Because right
How do you
now
excuse the fact that they literally copied the mechanics for bandaging to not work past 75%?
don't.
It seems like so low effort clone at this point.
you don't, and you need to remove it.
Okay, I have an insertion to make here, a legal insertion that I gathered from a TV show, so you know it's legit.
Was it a court TV show? Were there cops? It's basically a legal documentary.
No,
You're good.
There's a TV show called *Halt and Catch Fire*. It's about the early days of the computer revolution. It's a good show. I recommend it. But in it, they basically they want to clone an IBM PC. But the way they do it is interesting because legally they can't tear apart the IBM PC and like clone it, or they can't hire anyone who worked with the IBM PC code. So instead, what they do is they get like really good engineers, and then they like use the IBM computer without looking inside of it, and they gotta like replicate it just by reverse engineering it basically by like using it rather than like looking at the code.
Yeah, and that happens all the time in real life. That happened a lot in Microsoft when they were trying to first replicate Xerox's computers. They couldn't look at the source code for the user interface, but they could look at the user interface and try to build their own.
Yes, and
That's
I think
not plagiarizing.
it's not. It's not if you just look at the UI, not the code. But here's the thing. And I think this will really rub Bluehole the wrong way about PUBG, about Fortnite. Unreal had the source code basically for PUBG. Like they were working with, they were basically a vendor for the software, like the back end software. And the fact that they copied everything to the T, like with the bandages, like Omar was saying, the circle, the bandages, identically, I think they feel like that crossed the line. Like obviously, if you just make a game that's like similar to your game, like that's nothing, But the fact that they took it to the T and they work with them for the development, that's what pissed them off.
I definitely agree with you, and that's why I'm saying that if they want to survive, they need to be even more different than PUBG. They can't have bandages go to 75. They can't have the circles looking that way, because if you look at the minimap, you have the circles and you have the PUBG circles, and they're literally the exact same graphic. It's the
exact same.
But they can't go back and change it now because they already revealed their hand. They either copied it or didn't. The fact that they reel it back makes them look more guilty, I think. Because they're admitting guilt.
Copy paste the code and they're like, oh shit, they found that I copy pasted, and then you change you change some of the flavoring. It's still copy pasta.
Yeah.
Yes, but in that case, we have cease and desist notices where they can just say, oh hey, yeah, this is totally our own thing, but to avoid a legal battle, we're just going to change it. But we're still going to maintain that this was original.
Okay, hold on. Here's a problem with that discussion. At the moment, I do want to clarify that this is a very difficult thing to prove legally. We've seen so many mobile games straight up copy League of Legends. Like they literally copy the characters and whatnot from League of Legends, and there's nothing they can do because if you just look at some of these like we've seen way more blatant copycats than this. So I don't think there's any legal avenue for Epic Games or for Bluehole to take, because games on the App Store today literally copy the art style and the exact descriptions of various characters in League of Legends. And League of Legends is owned by Riot Games, a $400 billion company. They can't stop this. So if League can't stop this, there's no legal avenue for cease and desist, because it clearly doesn't work if it hasn't worked for this game.
To that, I say they either might not have sent out cease and desist notices in the first place. They could be too big to care. I remember there was a lawsuit where they recently slapped, it was like $1 million lawsuit with Riot Games that they just completely took down this one script hacking site community. They took them down completely with, I believe it was cease and desist. But I could be wrong. But that's what I remember it being. So if that's the case, then I think Bluehole could easily... Well, I don't think they could easily, but they could probably slap that down onto Fortnite, saying, hey, this is the exact same... exact same stuff.
All right, give us a final verdict. You say, once again, it is not a clone.
No, he's not guilty. All right.
Not guilty.
Yeah, guilty.
Yeah, I said not guilty, but they do need to change certain things. It's like it's ruling in favor of one person with a couple of stipulations that the person needs to.
I'm putting that right in the not guilty thing. Thank you for your participation, juror number 2.
All right, our final deciding juror member right there. Let's see what he has to say. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Barclay.
No problem.
All right, take care for now. All right, jury member number 3. You are the final and deciding vote. Mythandon, is Fortnite a clone of PUBG?
Hi. How are the audio levels? Just checking.
You are
Sounds good.
A-okay.
Okay.
You've been granted a
I have
great
a
power
verdict.
here to decide. Go ahead,
I
it's
have
yours.
a verdict, but I also have a question.
Okay.
For shooters, I think there's not a lot of variation you can introduce. And one of the most important things that I've thought of is, does this game introduce the same gunplay mechanics in bullet drop and accuracy spread? I have not actually played it, so I don't know the answer to that question. I think that's very important.
No, it doesn't at all. The bullet drop mechanics and the aim mechanics are entirely different, I would say.
I would say in the case of a shooter, that is incredibly separating from PUBG in the first place. And my overall verdict already is not guilty.
Interesting.
Not guilty.
Now, I would agree with you right away on that point if we were talking about a tactical shooter, something like Black Squash, something like Combat Arms, something like CSGO, where those mechanics are very important. I would argue, though, in a PUBG or a Fortnite experience, I don't think that gunplay is as important as the experience. Like the scenarios, with the bandages, with the way the circles are set up, it's all just feels so similar. Whereas the core gameplay is, again, scavenging, surviving, and then shooting. Whereas
this seems like a lot of bias coming from a judge. We must leave the decision to the jury.
The facts of the case, sir.
Okay.
The facts of the case must be clarified.
So that's only one reason I believe that. I think the building and, from what I saw in the trailer, destruction mechanic as well is incredibly important to the game. And I think it was Barclay was the name, brought up a pretty good point that they need to differentiate themselves. And I don't remember who said it, but going back and changing something that's too similar is absolutely not a problem. That's how you communicate that you're willing to change a game and make it better instead of just being a clone of something.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, you're right about that, but my point was with the changing it is, by changing it, you're kind of admitting that it, for the purposes of this fake judge thing, trial thing, you're kind of admitting it's a clone if you have to go back and change it. Not that they shouldn't, like they should, right? They should do it if it distinguishes the game, but it kind of reveals the fact that they initially cloned the game.
Well, here's the thing about the cloning the game, and it kind of addresses they run the engine, and that they help them. It's friendly competition, but it's still a competition and taking inspiration while remaining at least slightly different in a genre where you can't make a whole lot of differences. I can't condemn that, especially looking at the trailer. It looks different enough that I don't have PUBG, but I have watched a lot of it because it looks fun, and I can honestly say I would probably play both because PUBG seems like it would give me those intense, long-distance, worrying moments with bullet drop, whereas Fortnite looks far more chaotic, kind of in a TF2 kind of manner, especially at the close range. And they are definitely different enough, purely just from the trailer alone, in my opinion, that I would probably actually play both.
Interesting. So your vote is firmly in the not guilty category, and it looks like it's a 2-1 to not guilty.
Well, looks
looks like you win. But before we let's drop a straw poll as well to see other people can share their opinions. We'll see where everybody else stands. Thank you for sharing your opinion on Mythandon.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, take care for now.
The official jury has spoken. MMOs.com, jury of our peers. Fortnite has been found not guilty and will be allowed to remain in operation. I'm sure Epic Games is breathing a sigh of relief right now.
And I never implied that they shouldn't be allowed to exist. I think Fortnite Battle Royale is great for players, right? It's a win-win. We have a free alternative to PUBG, made by Epic Games, pretty respectable big studio, and the game is, it runs well. It's a fun game, and I played it. It's a fun game. So we as players win regardless. But I just think calling a game a clone, whether it's Fortnite, whether it's Runes of Magic, in the MMORPG genre, there are so many copycat games as well. And identifying copycat games is important, I think, because we can kind of give credit where credit is due. While we can still enjoy those games. Again, there are so many WoW clones, and like I don't mean just FF14 is a WoW clone. I mean literally the art style is the same. Like they literally just try to copy that experience in a different game. They copy the art style as much as they possibly can. And I think Fortnite, in my heart of heart, I personally think it's still a clone, but that's okay. I think ultimately it's still a win for gamers just to have this option to have another game to play. But it just like that Mobile Legends that I showed off on the mobile game that rips off League of Legends. They copy the heroes, like they literally copy the art, they copy the abilities word for word. They copy the abilities, and it's a clone. Like play the game, it's fun, whatever. I have no problem with that, but it's still a clone. But it looks like I have been outvoted. People are saying it's not a clone in the straw poll as well.
I don't know where the actual dispute between the two companies is going to go, but I do think in the long run, Fortnite Battle Royale will be a bonus, a plus, a positive for PUBG, not just for players. Because here's why. I'm just looking at the trailer. Like I'm looking at this video that's playing while we're talking. Basically, you know what this looks like to me? It looks like PUBG with training wheels. Like it's cartoony. It's free to play.
To a degree, yes.
There's no bullet drop. You're.
There's with snipers. There's the bullet drop, but it's less like. It's more casual for sure. The gunplay mechanics.
Okay, and like the whole like Minecraft-esque element. Like I remember watching where you play. You landed on a roof, then you like hacked at the roof with your little pickaxe, and like you broke. It's cute, but I think a lot of kids, because free to play. A lot of kids don't have money, so they're gonna play this. And then maybe if they like the concept, they're gonna see like their older brother playing PUBG, and they're gonna graduate to that. So in the long term, I do think this is a positive for both gamers and for PUBG itself. They might not see that now. They might see competition, but I do think they're complementary, and hopefully everyone wins.
It's just a shame that Epic Games had to make this. If literally anybody else made this, it's a non-issue. But the fact that Epic Games, the freaking vendor for PUBG's engine, made that's the scummy part, and you can't get over that. It's so scummy and sketchy and dirty. This reeks.
Do you think
of scummy?
I mean, that's an interesting point that never really came up. But Epic Games, the guys who make Unreal Engine, they're a standalone game studio as well. They haven't had any big hits for a while till Fortnite. They made the recent Unreal tournament game basically is going nowhere, right? But but Unity, for example, another engine maker, doesn't make their own games. They just make the engine. Yeah. So I think it was inevitable that eventually Epic Games would have a conflict of interest with one of their clients like this, because they make the engine and they make their own games. So there'd be a clash eventually with that. So here we are.
And there's the clash. But ultimately, again, we get a free game. So it's ultimately a win for players. So can't really complain there.
All right. Well, I think we have had our say with this one.
All right. Let's move on to probably the biggest news this week is that Guild Wars 2 Path of Fire launched. It's a big one.
Link me that trailer, baby.
All right, let's link you this bad boy. Now, we haven't had a chance to play it yet, and they did actually give us free copies of the game, so I am actually looking forward to doing it. Maybe for this Friday, if we can. We are doing some odd travel plans, so if not this Friday, for sure next Friday, because I do want to do a video for it and do a grind fest for it, so it could be a lot of fun. And with any new game launch, or rather any new big update, they released a giant infographic with tons of useless information, though some useful. I think the top bit of an infographic is the most useful part. They've had 11 million players since the game launched about 5 years ago, which is definitely not bad. It's a good chunk of change. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything if it's on active players because it's just a raw number. But to give you another comparison, I think FF14 had 10 million raw players since their game launched. So again, it doesn't really mean too much because neither are revealing active player numbers, just overall player numbers.
Yeah, I haven't played Guild Wars 2 since I played for a month following the Heart of Thrones expansion.
Yep.
And then after that, I stopped, and I think I obviously I'll play again now, but I am curious whether it will hold my interest for over a month or not.
It's tough with MMORPGs unless it's very hard to just kind of go into an MMORPG and really stick with it. You have to really commit hard to a game and with friends to really stick around for more than a month. And I think it's only when you do stick around for more than a month you really get enjoyment out of an MMORPG. Again, for me, it's Final Fantasy 14 has been the game that's given me of MMORPG giving the most enjoyment because it's the only MMORPG I've actually been able to commit to. And I've played a lot of games, but I've only played for like weeks at a time, and I get like I play a shit ton of Revelation, you get bored pretty quickly. Unless you're willing to sink in the time, it's hard to get invested in. For me, it's been FF14, but hopefully we can get into Guild Wars 2 and see how we feel about it then. But, I mean, there's a big update for Final Fantasy 14 as well. I mean, that I'm looking forward to quite a bit, actually. And we talked about in the previous weeks, Final Fantasy 14 4.1. It's adding they actually just they launched a teaser site for it. So a lot of fun new content coming out over there. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing the Beyond Savage content, the difficult raid content, and that could be a lot of fun.
So
take a look at that.
Beyond Savage. So what you're doing now is like the last few Savage dungeons, right? Or raids.
Yes, I should mention in FF14 that I'm still pretty casual for sure. I've had the time to really just sit down and grind it as much as I'd like to. I've only cleared Omega 1 Savage, which is the easiest, by far the easiest of the Savage content. I got to do 2, 3, and 4 as well. Hopefully before before 4.1 rolls around, so I have a chance at doing the Beyond Savage content. But I think that the Savage content in Final Fantasy 14 is a lot of fun. Involves a lot of wiping and learning, but it's a really fun experience. They did say that the Beyond Savage content will be very difficult. Again, we've talked about MMORPG difficulty quite a bit, and they're saying that this tier of content will really be aimed at the world's first crowd. Like those people are going to be the ones doing this current content with the new patch, and that should be pretty exciting because again, a lot of games have gone the more casual route. In fact, there's actually a pretty fun quote for Guild Wars 2, I think just the other week. Let's see if we can find it. One of the lead designers basically said that we like raiding the way it is because people were saying that the raid should have more easy difficulty options, and because people weren't able to clear it, right? And then one of the designers at Guild Wars 2 basically said, no, we want raids to be the hardest content in the game, and they're not for everyone. So it was really interesting to see, a game tell their audience, like, no, if you're not good enough for this raid, too bad. We're not going to change it to make it easier.
Okay,
I thought that's pretty intense.
I have a somewhat related anecdote about Final Fantasy 14. So only recently did I learn. I haven't played Final Fantasy 14. So from my brother, I learned that a raid in Final Fantasy 14 is actually just one boss fight. So you queue for a dungeon, right? Yep. And then you're in a circular arena and you fight one boss, and then you're done with the raid. So I was shocked when I realized this because I assumed from my 15 years of MMORPG experience that a dungeon or a raid in Final Fantasy 14 would be you enter like a dungeon, you clear some trash mobs, then you stop, you fight a mini boss, you fight a few more bosses, some more trash, maybe an optional boss to the left or the right, and then you fight the main boss and you're done. But no, it's just literally one boss fight. I'm not saying it's bad.
Experience. Yes.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I don't consider that a raid. I consider that a boss fight.
But did the trash mobs really add to the experience of clearing the trash was just like a chore? Like it wasn't.
That's like saying leveling is a chore. The whole game is a chore. I'm saying like at some
leveling
point
is typically done to kind of learn your class. It's almost like a learning curve, like how to play your class. I mean, that's the purpose of leveling. I think also to tell the game's story. So I don't know if you can necessarily say it's a chore. It is in a lot of games, but it shouldn't be. It doesn't have to be.
Well, okay. Imagine, is God of War a raid? Like is each what's that game where you fight one boss after another? It was a PlayStation.
There's a bunch of games that do stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, they're not raids. They're just fights or like you can't call them raids. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Okay, which is pointing out that all of FF14's other raids had trash mobs. Though I've seen my guild has actually ran me through the old coils of Bahamut as well as the
Shadow Colossus.
A couple friends.
Shadow Colossus. That was
ran me through the Alexander fights, and there were some areas with trash mobs, but it's not nearly the same kind of experience you're discussing with like WoW, for example, where WoW did have a lot of trash mobs to clear. From all the FF14 content I've seen, there's been minimal trash. So like, I think it's still fair to say almost all of the queues in the game are basically for boss fights. I'm going to defend that. I think it's a good system.
Really?
I don't think you have to bog it down with don't just throw trash mobs for the sake of occupying time. It added nothing to the game. Maybe if they're challenging or interesting, they could do it. That's fine. They could design around that. But I don't think WoW had particularly interesting trash mobs.
Really?
They're literally called trash mobs for a reason. Like It was a low effort, just took time, it was a hassle to clear.
I
You clear it slowly, otherwise you wipe.
hold up.
Hold up, I'm holding up.
Okay, the two fire giants, the first two mobs you see in Molten Court in World of Warcraft.
Yes.
Okay. When I played in vanilla, I started when the game launched. It took a long time for my guild to clear those two first giants. Okay.
I don't remember this stat being particular. You might be right, but I don't remember that.
I remember you and me, okay, in our first guild together, we could not get past those two giants. Like we sometimes we get them like halfway and then we'd all just wipe. So don't tell me like they're trash mobs after you are good enough to clear them, right, with your guild. But before you can clear them, that fire giant was harder than everything before it. You know, like every dungeon before it.
But that doesn't look. Even if that's the case, right? But you can accomplish that same system the way Final Fantasy 14. Final Fantasy 14 had an ingenious system of basically doing something vaguely similar. What would happen is once you queue for the Alexander dungeons, is before you get to that boss, right? There was one room before it, and in that room was basically something called a DPS check. What that DPS check did was it was a very simple enemy that auto-attacked. He had no special abilities, and you as a party had to kill that enemy within a set time frame, and that would essentially determine if your party had the DPS to handle the boss. So a lot of parties could maybe get together and just not do enough damage to the DPS check and wipe right then and there. And then it tells them, look, you can't do the DPS check, you can't handle the boss where the mechanics are involved. So even if you don't have the DPS, you just can't do it. So essentially that can act as your trash mob. That's what the trash mob in World of Warcraft the West do. Don't waste your time with Molten Core if you can't handle the trash mobs at the beginning. Why not just streamline the experience? Nobody enjoyed doing trash mobs.
No, okay, look. Here's my problem. Okay, at some point you can't use the argument that you're streamlining, because if you keep streamlining, you know what you end up with? You end up with a mobile game. Like you end up with like Puzzle and Dragon.
Yes, I agree. That's
okay,
true.
You know, Bejeweled. If you streamline MMORPGs enough, you end up with Bejeweled. Okay, so like you can't like. And look, I'm not against the game having both. Like imagine like in WoW, you could queue just for the final Ragnaros fight, right? But you get maybe like worse loot or something. I don't know. But like you can't. I just don't think you can call it a raid. It's not the same experience of like traversing this, you know, labyrinth, making it through the trials, you know.
But this is all self-done. Like, look, the raid for Final Fantasy 14 is Alexander 1 through 12. Is each individual queue. That's the raid, and these are each portions of the raid. You can look at it that way. Each boss fight is a part of the raid experience.
But but they're all isolated floating islands, right?
Essentially, yes.
But don't you think there's value in like a layout of a dungeon?
If it's done well, yes. But here's the problem. I don't think I've seen any game do it well. It's always been like in World of Warcraft. Bring back your example, Zul'Gurub or any of the other dungeons, right? Like clearing the trash mobs were just really painfully boring. It wasn't challenging. It just took forever. And look, let's not forget the word trash mob. You call them trash mobs too. Why do they call them that? They're literally trash. Look, and it's just there to slow you down.
Look, once your guild has a certain dungeon on lockdown, like a farm status, yeah, you're right. But some of my best moments in WoW and EverQuest, and was I was making my way through the dungeon, and like every month or every week getting further. So even those low level dungeons, like I got to know those zones. I got to know like almost like the atmosphere of those zones. You know, whether it's even Nomeragon. Like you could run Nomeragon a few times and not take the exact same path. Like there was like side paths, there was optional bosses.
Nomeragon was not a raid. They have dungeons in FF14 where you have that experience that you're describing. Okay. That's not the same.
Even raids,
do regular dungeons and do little bosses. We're talking raids.
Even like Encourage and stuff. Like there was a certain atmosphere in that area. Like it just, you know, Zul'Gurub and stuff. Like just being in there, like that town of the troll town, right? This abandoned. This is like corrupted troll town. Like and you can fight different bosses in different orders, and then every time you beat a boss, the main boss gets weaker, right? I think it's called Zul'Gurub.
I agree. That was cool.
Okay, so it just built a world, an atmosphere, and I feel like even like one of those raids in WoW, I felt has more character or soul or atmosphere than like today's average MMORPG.
Look. But killing the bosses is what weakened the boss in Zul'Gurub, okay, in ZG in World of Warcraft, not the trash mobs. I remember distinctly clearing Zul'Gurub at least like 5-6 times, and it was painfully boring to pull every one of those freaking axe throws and shit in ZG and just clear them slowly. It was not fun. It was not challenging either. But I agree, there is an atmosphere building element that you do lose. But it really, and it was always still good because you had that really cool atmosphere of, when you kill a boss and you're making progress, it weakens the main boss. That was kind of cool. I agree with you there. But it didn't. I do think FF14's system actually is this works really, really well. It's just more fun. It really just lets you get to the fun faster. You do lose something there. You're right. But maybe you can have content like maybe they can make the regular dungeons. There's already extreme roulettes. You can do the regular dungeons in extreme mode, and that they're harder. Maybe some kind of you can get that experience in the regular dungeons.
I have an easy solution that can kind of make both people happy. How about this? Have the actual raid the way I want, right? With the whole trash mobs and the
But what do the trash mobs add?
Hold up.
You have the atmosphere without the trash mobs.
Hold up. Let me finish. Let me finish. Okay, so you have the whole environment, right? And then once you clear it, like 1, 2, or 5 times, whatever the number is, after you clear it, after your character has cleared it, then you can queue for the final boss and just the final boss. So at least have players experience that zone. Because here's the thing, I actually hate queues, first of all, but I think we can't get away from that now. It's too late. Like queues are going to be here to stay. But at least let us have some attachment to environment. Like imagine you playing D&D, right? The old tabletop game, okay? Like a role playing game.
Okay.
You can't just have a series of like fights. How do I say this? The dinner is not just the food. The dinner is the restaurant. It's the candle on your table. It's the waiter in the white shirt. It's the music playing faintly in the background. It's the clatter of the other people, the other diners, forks and knives. That's the dinner experience.
But you have.
So what you want to do is you just want the steak in your mouth.
No, that's not true, because you have all the MMORPG experience. I agree with you. It's more than just the dinner. It's the restaurant, the chatter, the piano, everything. And you have the world in FF14. You have the housing. You have the world that exists outside the raids. The raiding is very one specific component of the game. So don't confuse that with just the entire game. There's a lot in FF14 you can do beyond just raiding.
I agree. Again, and my main contention. We got way sidetracked here, by the way. But my contention, I don't want to call them raids. If you're queuing for one boss fight, that ain't no raid. All right.
But what? No, you have to view like Omega 1, Omega 2, Omega 3, Omega 4 all as one raid. In fact, you can view it even the same way. Like, oh, this week I only got to Omega 2. Because essentially you do have to do every single. You have to do them in order.
But they're 4 floating arenas, right?
Yes, they are. They're 4 floating, or the 4 arenas. Not necessarily floating, but they're 4 arenas.
I mean, okay. I think you're. Look, I'm not objecting to the number of fights. I'm objecting to the nature of the fight. Where it's a floating arena. Okay, that's my main issue.
If I visualize it the way you are defending it, it would. I'm trying to. Okay, you go into this dungeon and you have to go through an hour worth of trash mobs, like 20 minutes of trash mobs in between every boss in one seamless experience. Is that better? Is that really better? We can visualize that today. I don't think that's better.
I mean, okay. I think it is better. You zone into a dungeon. Like, imagine you're playing Dark Age of Camelot for the first time. EverQuest, World of Warcraft, whatever. Ultima Online. You walk into the dungeon. Okay, you load. You're underground. You're stamped. The spiders at the beginning. They're kind of weak, but, there's a few of them. Then you make it to the next room. The next room has, undead zombies or whatever. You get through that room. There's a boss that summons lots of ads. You never fought him before. You got to get through him. He's guarding the entrance to the salt mine. Okay, you got to get past him to go from the cave to the salt mine. So you're building this world, and I think it's important.
Okay, which you brought up a good point with the old Coils of Bahamut, the first raids in Final Fantasy XIV. There was more atmosphere building than the current one. The current environment of these floating arenas, as you described them, it makes sense within the lore because you're being tested in Omega in this stage. You're being tested in this run. In the previous one with the Coils of Bahamut, you would actually literally be climbing across Bahamut. So before you got to the boss fight, there was maybe 2 minutes of running through bullshit, right? And maybe a couple trash mobs. So it was a very streamlined experience, but you got to experience moving throughout Bahamut's body. And sometimes maybe up to 5 minutes, right? It was very short anyway, and it was really, it was not. You would never wipe to the trash there, and there would not be that much trash either. But you would still be able to kind of explore and get that scenic experience.
That's what I want,
without it bogging you down.
Sure, and it's a great. Again, I haven't played Final Fantasy XIV, so I can't cite examples. But Omar, and those of you out there who played World of Warcraft, even the Onyxia fight, right? Onyxia was literally I think maybe 2 or 3 trash mob pulls.
Yes.
And then you were in this big arena with Onyxia. But here's the beauty of it. The Onyxia layer was its own environment, right? It was big. It was a wide cavern, right? But I feel like whenever I watch Omar play Final Fantasy, every single boss fight is the exact same circular floating stone, like in a giant ether, right?
No, they're slightly different. Really? There's some weird mechanics sometimes where you're like in vehicles and stuff. It really does change it up.
I'm talking about the actual arena itself. It's a floating circle, right? In ether.
Not always. You got rectangles sometimes.
Oh, okay, but that's what I'm trying to say. At least Onyxia was not a long fight to get to, right? It was just, you clear two trash, you get to Onyxia. But the fact that it was in a certain layer, like it was Onyxia's lair, you could tell that was Onyxia's lair. Whereas whether you're fighting, Shiva or Ifrit, it's the exact same circle, pretty much.
Whoa! The Ifrit circle is icy. I mean, rather the Shiva circle is icy. The Ifrit one is fiery. Come on, completely different. All right.
Okay.
Red tiles, ice tiles. You can slide around. You can slide on the ice. All right, it's kind of cool. When the ground is frozen, if you move on it, you go whoosh, start sliding.
I'm not insulting the mechanics of the fight. The mechanics are cool. Okay, I'm not. That's not my contention here.
Look, I agree with you. You do. I mentioned I agree with you when you brought up Zul'Gurub with the atmosphere. I agree, it does add value, but the trash mobs don't, and I don't think having the trash mobs add value. The atmosphere, yes, you can build the atmosphere, and it's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. But you also bring up a bigger issue too. I do think you do lose some sense of world when there's a queue to begin with. Yeah. I do remember in WoW, it was amazing. We would get a party together for Onyxia in Ironforge, right? You need like 40 people, right? And by the time we ran from Ironforge to Onyxia's lair. Where was it anyway? I forgot. You took a taxi into like 2 locations. By the time you got to the lair, like 8 people already died and they quit. They rage quit. Like, before you even got there, you lost like 8 people, and you knew that going into it. So like you had to be able to win that fight with like 30 people. It was fine. You could do it with like 20, but like you would lose people on the way because. Just going from Ironforge to Onyxia's lair because there was no queue system in vanilla WoW. It would take like 20 minutes. It was a journey. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So
yeah. you do lose that for sure. I agree with you, but trash mobs need to stay in the trash, just like trash loot. All right.
Oof. All right. I don't know what we're talking about. Savage.
All right.
Savage. Omega Savage.
Savage. And I want to read back the quote for Guild Wars 2, which brought us into this discussion, okay? Because this was I think a couple weeks ago, with Guild Wars 2 addresses requests for multiple raid difficulties, where the raid team design lead Crystal Reed explained on the Guild Wars forums that they won't be adding a different difficulty tier at this time. Raids need to continue to remain the most challenging content in the game, and they aren't designed to be accessible by everyone from a skill perspective. Could they be more accessible from a finding 9 other players to play with side? Sure. This isn't always an easy problem to solve, and any solution would detract away from the team making more raid content. We'd love to get more content to you guys faster, really. And I love that mentality. The moment you start caving into making the casual demands, it hurts. It hurts the experience, I think. So they're sticking by their guns in Guild Wars 2 and keeping some of the raiding content, they're not worried about making it accessible to everyone. And I think basically every MMORPG kind of does make the raiding more accessible by everyone, but I'm glad FF14 is also going away from that with the Beyond Savage content, and I may never be able to clear it. I don't know, but I really wish I can't clear it. And I want to keep struggling, and that will keep me coming back to the game over and over again. Just wiping and failing and just not being able to do it is some of the most fun I have in MMORPGs. Even just when I started doing again Omega 1 Savage, unbelievably easy fight. It's pretty much I can do it every time now. But for the first 5 or 6 times, for the first 5 times, I just straight up wiped. It's frustrating. It's interesting, but learning the mechanics are fun, and just doing it is fun. And wiping and learning is some of the most fun I have in any game, really. Whether it's an MMORPG or just a single player action RPG or something. And I'm looking forward to wiping more in Final Fantasy 14. Personally,
I have an interesting comparison to make. So. Well, whatever game you're playing, guys, there's sometimes a desire to cheat, even a single player game. Like imagine playing a single player RPG. Sometimes let's say your friend shows you a way to get all level 100 Pokemon for free, right? With a hack, or like
rare candies.
Yeah, whatever gimmick or bug glitch, even in a single player game, to get all the best items at level 1 or whatever, right? You're tempted to do it. I've been tempted to do it too. But here's the thing. The only one you're hurting at the end is yourself. Because if you do that, you're not going to get the fun. The fun of these games is kind of progressing. Even though, at the end of the day, it's a game. It doesn't matter. But
yeah,
you have fun progressing and getting stronger slowly and exploring the game. if you're just given everything at the beginning, you ruin the game for yourself. So I feel the same way when it comes to these kind of raids. If everyone can run the raids as soon as they are max level, whatever that is these days, the raids don't have a purpose. There's nothing cool to look forward to. There's nothing to progress towards or achieve. So yeah, at the end of the day, you're just hurting yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. I still think the developers should not make it easy to, even if you're only hurting yourself, don't make it easy to, skip the content. Because even if, you're hurting yourself in the long run, I mean, it's very tempting. It's something very, again, I will take the path of least, no, I will take the most efficient route to accomplish something. The most efficient route should not be stupid, like stupid easy or stupidly designed, even if, I could have more fun doing it the proper way.
Amen.
Amen.
I do want to get to one quick news, in case we miss it. There's a site, Omar and I have been doing this MMO thing for a long time now, and there was one of the OG free-to-play game publishers was a site called OGPlanet.
They're the OG.
They're
one of the OG.
They got OG right
companies.
in the name, baby. And just recently they decided to give away their last game. Their last game, Uncharted Waters Online. And that is being transferred to Papaya Play, and I can't even go to their website right now. I'm just met with this one prompt. So it looks
Ahoy,
like
captains.
Indeed. So I think OGPlanet is dead. I think that's it.
Yeah, they're donezo. That was their only game. Beyond this, they have one browser game, which is not unique to them, and they've slowly been shutting down all their games for quite a few years now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys know what the site is. If you guys have been with us for the long haul, maybe you've heard of it. They used to publish, I think, like something Lost Saga, Rumble Fighter, SG Gundam, Lautail Capsule Fighter Online. It's just been part of me for years, and now they are basically dead. I can't even get to the site, guys. That's how sad I am right now. Rip.
Area Games was also one of the OG ones. I would say Area Games, OGPlanet, and G Potato. G Potato. What a great name, guys.
EG.
G Potato.
EG. Never forget.
EG. Never forget EG. All right, those are some of the 4 big old school free to play game portals, and of those 4, it looks like Area Games is still going strong out of all those. Really, the rest are pretty much done. So,
yeah, I mean, nothing more to say there, guys. Just
Nexon as well. Nexon's a big one too, for sure. They've been around for a long time. But yeah, it's sad to see them go. I mean, you can still play Uncharted Waters Online. They moved Lautail as well, though. Unfortunately, with Lautail, everyone lost their data. But with I'm not sure if people are going to lose their data or not for Uncharted Waters Online. They actually, all they said was make sure you remember your password, and that's it. They didn't clarify.
Yeah, there it is. Papayaplay.com, boys. That's what you got to do now. Apparently, I don't know. I never heard of this.
Uncharted Waters again. That's a bit of a unique one in and of itself. I mean, it's such a weird game. I tried playing it. I couldn't get into it. It's got this very daunting, shitty interface. Japanese developed game, obviously shitty interface, but like. I don't know. It's so not user friendly, but there's something to it because it's been around since 2005, and it's one of the only seafaring MMORPGs out there. I mean, it's different. It's a unique MMORPG, but it's difficult to get into.
Definitely, I tried it. If you guys, actually, I wouldn't really recommend it to anyone at this point. But if you want a more medieval EVE Online with like ships instead of spaceships. Uncharted Online is a good candidate. It's old. It was actually released in 2005 originally in Japan, so it's still around. It's still being updated. They actually got a huge update recently, so there it is.
Yeah, it's a biggie, but I guess for now, rest in pepperoni. OGPlanet, they're done, so they're dead. All right. Only other really big news this week is actually we think there were more fun news, but we should maybe mention this real quick. Mood Legend is going open beta on November 7th. That is the official open beta date, so it is coming up soon. I mean, we've a lot of us already played the game already in the first round of first 2 rounds of closed beta testing. I think this game is going to make money. I think it'll be successful because it's going to give us that maybe Lost Ark / Lineage Eternal light experience before those games come out. It's going to beat those to market, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah, this one was we played the closed beta. God, it's been like what 6 months at least, right?
It's been a while. Yeah.
So I was a little sad to see it got delayed 3 months. We reported on this a few times already, but you know what? It's still beating Lost Ark to market. It's still beating Lineage Eternal to market. So I think it's still good to go. I think this game is still going to find a big audience globally, especially in countries like Turkey, Brazil, East Europe. You know, basically all the shitty countries where people don't know what good games are. They're gonna they're gonna latch onto Moo Legend. You know, instead of playing a good game like Path of Exile, they're gonna end up playing this. So, Godspeed.
Actually, you bring a good point because we're in Turkey right now. And we see this. I've been seeing this ad. Like they show a poster with like the 5 most popular games in Turkey, and like 3 of these 5 games are popular and good. The other 2 are not. Okay, if you look at this picture I just linked, you got Dota 2, good game. League of Legends, good game. Counter-Strike Go, good game. There's 2 other dukers on this list. They got Wolf Team and Metin 2. Okay, Wolf Team is pure and utter garbage. Pay to win, terrible game. Metin 2 is old as fuck. Okay, I don't know why these 2 games are so popular in Turkey, but they are.
It really is interesting how what takes over in like these third world countries like Turkey. I don't know what exactly it is. Is it the fact that these guys advertise? Is it like just maybe the water is dirty in Turkey and people just have low IQs? I don't know, like too much lead in the water.
There's some lead in the water bringing people to Metin too. It's like, no, but they like League of Legends and Dota as well and CS:GO. Those are real games. But why Wolf Team? Like you have CS:GO on that same list. Anyone that plays Wolf Team is just a pay to win garbage game. Like you just pay straight up for massive power. It's not even remotely fair. Why not just play CS:GO instead? Just stop playing Wolf Team. Turkey, please, just stop. No more Wolf Team.
Oh, and Mr. Red in chat here has found a way around the OGPlanet pop-up. You can inspect element to get to the homepage.
Classic.
So appreciate. Oh, yeah, you can't really do much here. They just have the Uncharted Waters online page here. Sadly, they have no games left, so they are gonna GG soon. Appreciate the trick there, though.
I want to mention one other fun story before we wrap it up here, and perhaps it's because Hi-Rez has too much money on their hands right now. Maybe they raised too much hot venture money that they launched their own reality show. You heard about this, Aaron?
Wait. Who launched a reality show?
Hi-Rez Studios launched a brand new reality TV show called The Caster. They're the guys behind Paladins and Smite.
I have not heard about this. Let me link me up.
I linked you up. Most people, can kind of relate to like, it's just weird to see a reality show called The Caster. It's an 8-episode weekly reality show where 10 aspiring game commentators battle out for a chance at casting at the Hi-Rez Expo in January and a shot at winning $10,000. It's such a weird thing. It's like, America's Got Talent. It's got like, American Idol, but like it's very, very specific for casting.
This is really weird.
This is on. I want to watch it. I'm curious now.
So they have to cast. They have to cast Hi-Rez games like Smite, I guess.
I guess so, yeah. And whoever does better, it can make it to the. There's some drama inserted in there. It's gonna be crazy. I don't know. It's just so weird to see.
You know what? Look, guys. I know, like for the podcast here, we mute the videos on YouTube, but this one I will be favoriting and watching on my own time. I know you guys are saying it's cringy, but sometimes you gotta see the cringe to like appreciate it. So
I want to see the cringe. I really do want to see the cringe because it's so weird that like a game studio would do this.
Yeah, let me turn up a little for a second.
Introduce you to your first.
It's up to like 3 episodes right now, I think, and they're doing more and more.
You know what? I do love this this presenter. He looks like a character from like the Pixar Hawaii movie. I forgot what it's called.
I know what you're talking about. But
Maybe
I
it's Disney. Disney or Hawaii. I'm not sure, but this guy looks like even this next guy here looks like a TV character. This guy, they look like Pixar people. I don't know. They don't look like humans to me. But there it is.
But the thing is, like, it's weird because casting is kind of cool, right? Like a lot of us that do watch just tournaments for games, like we see the casters do their work. It's interesting, right? Maybe they want to do something like this for a pro player. Maybe you want to go pro, right? But maybe that requires a lot more like individual skill. Like very few people are capable of going pro, but more people are probably capable of being casters. So they just had to go the casting route. But I feel like it's I don't know. Reality show on this seems kind of odd. Maybe like if you guys remember, TSM used to do their. I don't know if they still do it. They do it. They used to do videos for like it was called TSM Cribs. They showed off like their house, right? And like every episode, they like go behind the scenes and they see what people are doing. They, all this. I don't know if it's fake drama, but there's like drama going on in each episode where like some players don't get along and they deal with their girlfriends and shit. But like I don't know, people eat that stuff up. So maybe there's a market for this. Who knows?
Okay, this guy that I just paused on, he looks amazing. Okay, I'm not sure why he's wearing the hat he's wearing and the glasses he's wearing, but he looks like Ash Ketchum, but like even nerdier. I don't know. I'm not one to insult people's looks. You know, I got a big schnoz myself here, guys, but this guy just looks impressive.
I like Shadow Boy. He's got the best name, right? Okay, of those first 10 people, like at the beginning of the episode, like there's only 2 guys not wearing suits. I'm rooting for them, all right? Everyone else is too try hard. I'm rooting for the black. I'm rooting for Shadow Boy. All right, he's my guy.
Did they just find like the weirdest looking people? Like the contrast between the people they found is amazing. Like this guy, next guy I paused. This guy looks like some like Italian Guido I went to like high school with. Like they just found the weirdest group of people that I have no idea what's going on with this group of people. I'm just look at this guy. Looks like a doll or something. I don't know.
Better question: would you participate in like some kind of reality show like that, some kind of game show? In terms of, I feel like that could be really fun actually. Like I don't think I'd be a great caster, but like I would love to try it. I think it'd be a really fun thing to do. I feel like I can talk really fast. I can think really fast when it comes to like games I'm interested in. So I feel like I might be decent at it, but I don't know how well I'd be able to, you know. It obviously is a skill you develop as you do it too, but I think it could be a lot of fun.
I think you'd be good at it because you can talk fast. So like if there's like a fight scene going on like in a game like whatever like Smite, you can narrate what's going on really quickly. But I honestly I think this is cringe for a few reasons. This whole the caster thing. I honestly think they just found a group of people that look very different from each other. Like each of these people look like totally different like archetypes of humans. Like it just seems it's too neat to be like random. Like
are you saying this is like not like authentic?
Yeah, it's not authentic.
It was like too like they just find people so different from each other to make it's just all fake, fake and gay.
Maybe for the appeal of like of the reality show aspect, they just found people that are totally different to see how they would react to each other. You have you have a fat black guy, like this weird Guido looking guy, this huge nerd looking guy, this fat guy. Like it just seems this buff guy in front of me. Like I don't know. It just seems like too it's too suspect for me to like think it's real.
You ain't buying what they're selling? No, definitely. It does seem very suspect.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems weird.
Although I don't think any caster can come close to Toby Wan from Dota. Toby Wan Dota casting is by far the best caster I've ever seen in any game. Consistently top tier, and it's I don't know. I don't even play Dota anymore, but I still watch all the big tournaments for Dota 2, and he is unbelievable. Like, there's no caster like him in any other game. He just gets me hyped for Dota 2 every single time. It just casting is an art, clearly. So not everyone has it. I've heard a lot of casters over the years.
You know what it is? It's accent. If you have an English or Australian or Irish accent, you just sound better at sports, like casting. Esports or regular sports. If you notice, all the like soccer or football in Europe here, the casters have Scottish. The best ones have Scottish accents. Scottish accent is the best because you sound fancy, but at the same time rural enough to like appeal to everyone.
All right, fun stuff. I actually we're gonna watch the caster together. All right, we'll see what we think about it. All right, we'll pick our guy and root for them.
Yeah, this is a 30-minute video, and I actually want to see it.
Is it a better or worse idea than the Candy Crush TV show?
Better.
I think it's better. It can't be worse. The Candy Crush TV show is more cringe. Has to be more cringe.
Yeah, because I feel like casting is a skill that transcends like one game, like Smite. Like if you're a good caster, you can be a caster for like sports, like basketball, baseball, football, esports, whatever. So yeah.
Fun stuff. Yes, there's a Candy Crush TV show at Mythan. We might show it again after show, but it's always a blast to show off. It's absurd. literally people on ropes swinging around, playing Candy Crush on a giant TV screen with George Lopez trying to salvage the show and make it remotely entertaining. But it's a disaster.
Yeah. Actually, I have another quick piece of news real quick. Battlerite is actually going to go free to play. I'm actually surprised to hear this. It's going to go free to play November 8th when it officially launches.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys have been waiting out there to play Battlerite, wait till November. It's only, 2 months away now?
Mm-hmm.
And you can play for free. There you go. I actually
Awesome.
I actually thought it was never going to happen.
No. I mean, once they sold lots of copies, it makes sense to go free to play now. I mean, I think the game will do well free to play too. It's a really fun game. Every time I've came back to Battlerite, every single time, a couple of my friends asked to play, and I play with them. It's unbelievably fun. Like, I've never been disappointed coming back to Battlerite because I would play it when I first went. No, when it first announced, I played it for a while. I had a lot of fun. Took a big break for a couple of months. I came back, played for like another week. Every time I come back, it's a blast. Quality game.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys in chat are saying they did say they were going to go free to play, but it's one thing to say you're going to go free to play, and another thing to actually go free to play. So maybe I'm just too jaded from my experience with these early access games, but this one is going to play out. So,
all right. Oh, what's up, Blubby? All right, perhaps we can take to the post game now, and we will continue the discussion there.
All right, thanks guys for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, this is it for you. But do catch us live on Twitch, and you will have at least another 30 minutes of fun with us. So take it easy.
Take care, YouTube. Thanks for watching. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m. PST, the MMOs.com podcast.